Anyways, yeah, I wanted to watch this. Let's watch this. This is from I saw this morning. Don't buy a motorcycle. I won't buy a motor. Dude, I'm like impervious to the midlife crisis. I feel like I already kind of had my midlife crisis after I got divorced. You know, my midlife crisis was just like chasing puss for a little bit there. You know, and then I did that for like a year and I got over it. You know, and I feel like that was like a fairly, not that that's like a good thing, but like on the grand scale of midlife crises, like that's not that bad, right? That's like, I'd say like a 3 on the midlife crisis Richter scale, you know? That's what I feel. I personally, I feel like it's like, yeah, okay, that's not that bad, you know? It's a pretty normal thing. But yeah, we've gotten out of that. We're in the clear now. But yeah, I wanted to watch this and talk about it a little bit. This is Voice of Reason. He's like a huge Catholic influencer or whatever. Uh, I've seen this guy around, and I guess somebody asked him about Nick, so I kind of want to react to it.
I want to say it's an honor to be here with you two gentlemen. That by the grace of God and the Holy Spirit, you two have helped bring more souls to Christ Church. You guys helped bring my family closer to Christ Church. My family just recently got converted.
Praise God. Congratulations. Round of applause for his family.
But essentially, you guys are playing a huge role in what some people are currently calling the new Catholic Renaissance, right? We've seen you two collaborate with so many Catholic and Protestant apologists and diverse content creators outside their religious sphere, fighting for Christ's Church and apologetically. There's someone out there who isn't considered a Catholic apologist per se, but many have credited him like yourselves, someone who has brought many to Christ's Church, and this person has raised the current concern that modern Catholic influencers are not really talking about today's world problems. Would you two ever consider having a talk with Nick Fuentes?
You? I don't know much about him, but I don't know. I honestly don't know how to answer that question because I almost know nothing about him. I know he's very controversial. I know that he's very polarizing. My instinct tells me yes. My instinct says that I would talk to anybody. But it depends on what the purpose is for. Why would we have the conversation? What would it be about?
And see,
and let me tell you,
the answer should have just stopped right. Like I feel like that's like, okay, that's a pretty sufficient answer. Like, I don't really know, but yeah, you know, sure. If there's like a good conversation to be had, sure. It's like, okay, that's a pretty acceptable answer, you know. I feel like, all right, we can pin it there. We're good. Question answered. You know, no big deal, right? But of course, like they always have to do this, like every single time. We'll just.
Let me just, you know, be perfectly clear. There are a lot of Catholics out there who call themselves Catholics, who don't follow the teachings of the church. And they don't follow, unfortunately, they don't follow the teachings of the church. And they like the Catholic title, but they use it more for maybe for credibility, to help, you know, frame their persona. I'll talk to anybody. The answer would be yes. I'll talk to anybody.
They always have to do this every single time, don't they? Like, is it not funny? Like, is it not funny how they do this every single time without fail? Completely unnecessary to throw that in. I don't even really know. It's always got to be some side comment, right? Every single time, where they have to create some sort of like, yeah, sure, I'll talk to the guy, but you know, it's a very easy way to criticize Nick without criticizing Nick too, you know, because he's like left himself some room for like plausible deniability now, where it's like, well, I wasn't saying that Nick was a fake Catholic. I'm just saying there's a lot of fake Catholics in there in response to a question of somebody asking me if I would talk to him, and it's like, it's weird. it's so bizarre to me. But like Pinesep has it totally correct. Pinesep recently has been going on about this like Catholic Inc. crew, and it's It is like a cabal, if you will, where these people, whether it be Trent Horn, whether it be this guy, there's a ton of them that refuse to engage in anything really meaningful, I think. And by that, I mean, like, what's going on in our world. You know, I'm not going to sit here and pretend, like, say that, like, all their content's bad and yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that they never engage with anything that's actually happening in the world. Like, they won't really touch politics or current events. They don't really touch what is actually affecting people. And to sit here and say, like, that, like, I don't know, that they're a driving force in bringing people to Catholicism, I would actually argue that that's not true. You know, you're not like, these people are not like going out into the culture and engaging with people who are like atheists or anything like that and converting them. Like they're it's like you have people that are like already on the, like, if you're watching a Voice of Reason clip, like, you're already on the fence. You know what I mean? It may help you fully commit. You know, you may hear some argument or some line that will help you be like, okay, yeah, that's a good argument. Okay, I had this personal hang up about the church, and now that that's resolved, I feel more comfortable. But like, they're not actually out there in the trenches, like, evangelizing to people. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really do much. They don't really do all that much, you know? And they've sort of created this little, like, clique for themselves where they, like, a very safe little community for themselves where all they really do is talk to one another. Or, like I said, they'll talk to, like, Protestants, you know? Which is like, I mean, dude, dunking on a Protestant, like, I don't know, it's like punching a toddler in the face, you know? Like, I've only been Catholic for like a year and a half, like, confirmed. I've been going to Mass for like 2 years now. But, so I'm not like an expert. I'm no theological expert. It's like, yeah, I feel like I could comfortably debate almost any Protestant in the world and make a pretty coherent argument and a good case for Catholicism. It's not really that hard considering the state of Protestantism right now. It's a low-hanging fruit, really. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with that to a certain degree. Like, I don't have a problem with it, because Protestantism is a clear and present danger in the West, especially. But it's like, I don't know, like, fucking, what, pat yourself on the back for winning a foot race against a guy with one leg? You know what I mean? Give me a break. So yeah, it's like very funny to me. Like, none of these people actually talk about anything that's like meaningful or substantial. They don't talk about politics. They don't talk about current events really all that much. I mean, even when the Olympics, right? They do this sort of huge blasphemous display of the Last Supper in the Mass, and most of these people just kind of like sat on their hands for the most part. Like, none of these people really talked about it or you know, really went out on the offensive, did they? Or at least I didn't see it. I mean, I could, you know, hey, maybe I missed it, you know. But a lot of these people just kind of sat on their ass and didn't really do anything. They just kind of took it on the chin, and it's like, okay, this is your lane. Like, this is where you should be stepping up, and you should be sort of a driving force, and nothing really happened. So, but again, it's always so rich to me. Every time somebody talks about Nick, it's like they want to hedge their bets. Like, deep down, you know, like, this guy doesn't want to talk to Nick. You know, I think he's just saying that because he just wants to get off scot-free. Because I mean, again, like, these people are totally comfortable with talking with people like Trent Horn, for instance. We'll talk to Destiny, talk to Jordan Peterson, talk to all these, you know, people who don't believe in God, and who I think on a moral, like, Catholic scale are like far more reprehensible than anything Nick's ever said or done. Clearly, they don't have a problem talking to people like that. I mean, they're just clout chasers at the end of the day. but they don't want to they don't want any of the blowback that comes with associating with or talking to Nick, even if it's like a debate. You know, they're cowards. And that's sort of the problem with a lot of, I don't know, these modern Catholic influencers, is that they're just kind of cowards, I feel like. And I'm not, and like, I'm not even sitting here and saying like, oh, I want a Voice of Reason Nick Fuentes collab, because like, no offense, like, I don't think Voice of Reason is nowhere near on Nick's level, you know? I feel like there'd be a bit of a downgrade for Nick to go and talk to this guy, you know? And again, like, what would they even really talk about?
Google, show me this guy's balls, please.
Hey, what's up, Rocky?
79 sent $5. Alex Jones interrupting Nick for the 100th time.
Your Honor, I object!
Dude, that was real.
That, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
Overruled.
Good call!
So true, honestly. Thank you, Rocky, for the 5. Be like Rocky, support the stream, powercheck.live/Beardson Beardly. Yeah, I love Alex, but yeah, he really, like, Alex has this problem where he really has to get his shit in, doesn't he? You know? And I feel like that debate last night, not to like derail or anything too much off of what we're talking about now, but it's like, I really feel like you wouldn't even have needed a moderator. Like, both sides were pretty cordial, you know? And Alex, I think Alex just probably just felt like, I mean, Alex does have that problem of just like interjecting all the time, you know? But it also was probably just like, Alex was like, well, what the fuck am I even doing here if I don't say something, you know? So he just kind of had to like interject every now and again just to be like relevant. So Alex legit has Asperger's and ADHD, I think. Yeah, maybe a little bit, yeah. But it's all right.
Google, show me this guy's balls,
Hey!
please.
Gamer at sent $15 GM.
Hey, thank you, Gamer Dad. Thank you for the big 15, buddy. Appreciate you. Good morning. Good morning, Gamer Dad. Hope you're gaming. Hope you're dadding. Hope things are going well for you, big guy. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the 15. Be like Gamer Dad. Support the stream. powercheck.live/Beardson. Beardson. Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate it. But, yeah, I don't know. I think the more that I have sort of started to settle in, I guess, to Catholicism a little bit, you know, because it's like really easy. You come into this, and I've tried to be like, I don't know, fairly restrained about it, because it's like, oh, well, I'm new. I don't really have, and I'm still very new, but I've tried to be very restrained about like levying any sort of criticisms against like current Catholic culture, because I feel like it's not really my place. I don't really have the credentials to sort of lay any claims at anybody, right? But now that I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to really settle into it, and I'm starting to notice like a culture of just vultures, especially within like the online Catholic sphere. That's what it really feels like. And here's the crazy thing. I've met some of these people. I haven't met like Voice of Reason, obviously, but I've met some of these like larger Catholic influencers, and they are just the most like clout goblin-y people on the planet. Like, okay, I'm gonna tell a story here, and I don't even really necessarily mean to be like rude. I think we may have told the story on the sweat already. It's like I don't hate this guy, but you guys know that Franco guy. He's in with this like clique of like online Catholic influencers or whatever. And we met him because me and Wurs, this was during AFPAC 4. Oh, what's up, Tyler? GM Tyler Russell. Kisses. Everybody give Tyler a kiss right now. It gets as well. Me and Wurs ended up going to Mass on Sunday during AFPAC 4, and we ran into Pine Sap. We ran into that Franco guy, and I think Joe Enders was there as well. And so we're like, oh, hey, what are you guys doing afterwards? You want to hang out, you know, go grab a bite to eat or something? Because it's like Pine Sap, you know, and I like Joe too. But, you know, Pine Sap's my motherfucking homie. and it was just like crazy to just accidentally run into him. And that Franco guy was there. And like, for the record, like, he's like a nice enough dude, but the guy is a clout goblin. Like, all he could talk, like, you know, when I'm like IRL talking with like Tyler or Wurs or anybody like that, I'm not like, I don't know. There may be like some bit of talk about like, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that or whatever, but it's definitely more like collaborative. I feel like, and it's like we're both kind of like sharing ideas with one another, so it's a little different. Whereas like this guy's just talking about like, yeah, I've done this and I've done that, and it was just weird. It was weird that like we're IRL and you're talking about like internet clout shit and like filming video. Oh, I'm gonna film this video here and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. We're at church, you know, like we're in church. Like I was taking a tour of the basilica there, and you know, it was what was it, Saint Teresa of Lisieux's basilica in Detroit, and they have like this really cool like little museum, and I'm going through, and he's just like, yeah, we're gonna film this video. I'm like, can I just have a minute, dude? Can I have a minute to like, I'm never gonna see this ever again. Can I have a minute to just like look at this place, you know? And it's all I could talk about. And then of course he's like I don't know what was really cringy to me, to be honest with you, was he was like, yeah, I'm like actually like pretty secretly based, but like I can't say it because I get canceled or whatever. And I'm like, okay, you don't have to like prove. I don't, you know, it's like not everybody I interact with has to like fucking throw up a Roman salute. You know, I don't have to like test people. Like, hey, listen, before I can talk to you, can you throw one up for me? You know, I'm not like, you know, it's like weird. People like have to prove that they're based or whatever. But what are these guys so worried about? Who cares? Well, they're worried about it because again, it's like clout. It's like all they care about, really. All they care about is clout, follower counts, etc., etc., etc. And it's like, I'm not even saying, I don't even think Franco's like a bad guy or whatever. I just think that it's very indicative of, like, it's very funny to me that like people like Voice of Reason will talk about how like, oh, well, there's a lot of fake Catholics out there that have Catholic in name only, and it's like, yeah, but like all you guys are just like whatever sin you want to ascribe to like Nick, it's like you guys are vain. You guys are self-centered and vain, and clearly you only care about one thing, you know, at the end of the day, which is your own success. And again, I don't even necessarily have a problem with Voice of Reason or his content. I mean, it's not really like my cup of tea, you know, because I'm catechized now. I don't really need to watch like a video telling me like, hey, this is what Catholics think about married. I'm super based in red pill, but don't tell anyone, Beardson. I got trad cath bitches to woo. Yeah, dude, exactly. That's like, and I guarantee that's a huge part of it too. Is like, oh, religious hippie's gonna be here. I can't let her know I'm an anti-Semite, but I'm a based. I promise you. This is so fake, man. It is. It's so fucking fake to me that a lot of them act this way. I don't know. It's bizarre to me, and like I said, whatever like sin you want to ascribe to me, like I know I'm not like a saint by any means. I'm trying to be. I'm working on it, but you know, still smoke. I drink occasionally. I swear. You know, I may be a bit of a dickhead sometimes. You know, it is what it is. You know, I'm working on it. But at the end of the day, like you people are obsessed with fame and you're obsessed with clout, and I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to be famous, especially if you think that you're like being called to do that and you think that you have some good to provide to the world. But don't sit there and try to like cast stones at Nick because he's just more famous than you. And that's really what drives a lot of these people crazy, more so than anything else. I'm telling you. It's not that like people like Voice of Reason and all these other people, they don't actually have a problem with Nick personally. They don't think he's like a fake Catholic. It's just that they're really upset that Nick's more famous than them. And to be honest, I would place a bet that Nick has brought more people to Catholicism and to God than Voice of Reason and all of these other Catholic influencers combined. Like I said, none of these people like really engage with the culture. They don't go out and enter into the public square talking about like politics or any sort of like cultural issues. They always shy away from that stuff because it's controversial, right? Most of the people that converted, anybody that says like I converted because of Voice of Reason, it's like probably not. You're not discovering Voice of Reason content if you're not already on the fence about Catholicism. It's like, don't get me wrong, people like Voice of Reason are like good to like, if you're on the fence, to maybe give you a little push over to convert, but you know, no one's like finding God because of these people, you know? Sorry, it's just true. There's a sort of, I don't want to use this term in the biblical sense, right? Like I don't want to use this term in the biblical sense. I'm not saying this in the same way that like Jesus talked about lukewarm Christians, but there is this sort of like lukewarm sort of temperature about their content where it's like very safe, it's very pillowy, and it's not that I have necessarily even a problem with that, but again, it always comes back to like, well, I gotta throw a little jab in at Nick because he's like controversial and I don't want to be like associated with that, but at the same time I don't want the Groypers mad at me, so I'll, you know, say like, hey, I'll talk to him, but then I'll never put any effort to do so. It's like, yeah, I don't know, it's just cowardly. It's cowardice to me. I don't know why everybody has to do this. It's like, dude, Dinesh D'Souza just did a debate with Nick last night, and the guy's way more famous than most of these people are. And he had no problem complimenting Nick and saying, like, wow, you're a really great debater, and you're really smart. There's always got to be this sort of talking out of the side of their mouth, you know, every time. And let's finish the clip here.
What would we be talking about, what it's for, and why? And I think that it's a good idea, especially for content creators, that whenever we work with somebody, talk to them privately first, beforehand, and get to know them first ahead of time, and you know, before you work with them, talk to them, get to know how they really are, because it's very possible that people can be scandalized. People can really be scandalized by certain interactions that you can have with others.
Yeah, by the way, you're talking about creating scandal, and you just said that like Nick's a fake Catholic, and it's Catholic in name only. So even though after you said that you didn't know anything about the guy, right? That's what's so funny about these people. It's like you just you know, all you have to do with a lot of these people, just give them enough rope. You know, just give them enough rope. The mask will always slip. The mask will always come off every single time, without fail. And they'll always reveal themselves. All you have to do, give these people just a little bit of rope, and that's it. That's all you need.
So if I had a conversation with him beforehand, I'd love to talk to the guy. You know, like I said, I know almost nothing about him. I saw he's very controversial, very polarizing. Talk to him first, and based on how that conversation goes, I'd be more than happy to talk to him.
Yeah, because I think
I feel like also too, there's a sort of attitude. I kind of not to derail like too much. I'm gonna have one more cigarette here. Not to derail too much here, but there was this past Sunday. There was we went to church. Me and my buddy, we went to church, and we noticed on the first reading that they had omitted part of the reading. Right? Let me read it. Let me read it for you guys. It was really weird. It was really bizarre. And at first, like, me and my buddy were just like, oh, it's really bizarre. Like, maybe they just, like, messed up, you know? Maybe they just, like, the lector just didn't finish the reading. But the line was, it was from Acts chapter 12, verse 11. Now I know for certain that the Lord sent his angel and rescued me from the hand of Herod and from all that the Jewish people had been expecting. And I thought, like, it's really weird that they would omit that line. But, like, whatever, you know. Like, maybe they forgot to turn a page or something. But then I looked online and I saw a lot of people talking about how they omitted that line. Yeah, like, people in the chat are even talking about how they omitted that line, too. Yeah. And I was like, why? It's like, is there some sort of, like, liturgical reason as to why they would have, like, omitted that line? It doesn't really make much sense. You know, and obviously, like, I understand, I have a bit of a bias, right? We all here have a little bit of a bias, so we're definitely a little bit more tapped in to this sort of stuff when they're talking about Jews. I was joking around with my buddy, and I was like, dude, I wish I would have been like the reader for that day, because I would have definitely emphasized very hard all that the Jewish people had been expecting. You know, really, really like drove a big, you know, real big emphasis on that line. But yeah, I thought it was really weird, and so I did some like digging around and asking around, and I asked a few like Catholic friends that are like have been in the church for a while, like, is there any liturgical reason? And I've got like answers all over this. Oh, maybe they just cut it for time, and it's like, dude, it's like a 5-second line. You know, it's not like they cut all the verse down. They just omitted like it would have taken 5 seconds. So I don't think that they omitted it for time. And ultimately, I think the conclusion was that they omitted it for obvious reasons. Like, they didn't want to offend Jewish people, especially considering everything going on in Israel and Iran right now. That's sort of what it felt like to me. That it was this sort of case-by-case basis where they wanted to omit the line. And this is something that I am starting to notice about Catholicism, especially here in the West, is that I understand that you don't want to create scandal and you don't want to like purposefully go out and offend people, but it's getting to the point now where we're also so afraid to offend anybody. Our faith, like, I hate to break it to Catholics, our faith is offensive to people who don't believe in it. It always has been, and it always will be, you know? There's no getting around it. There's no watering it down. There's no trimming the fat here or there to make it more palpable to people who don't believe in Jesus Christ, who don't believe that Christ founded the church. There's no getting around that, okay? And so when I hear people like voice of reason talk about like, well, you know, I got to be careful about who we talk to because it could create more scandal. It's like, do you not also think that like by refusing to talk to certain people or engage with certain people that you're also creating scandal as well? Like it works both ways. I think what it is that it's a really convenient excuse to avoid talking to somebody. And it's sort of, I'm not necessarily saying this, but I'm saying that people could sort of assume this about voice of reason, is that you are essentially using the Bible and using the catechism of the Catholic Church in a way to avoid talking to Nick, essentially, you know? Oh, well, I don't want to create scandal. Like, I hear this line used so many times. And it's like, at a certain point, I don't think you really know what that means. Like, I think you're just using it as like an excuse, basically. And that's sort of kind of what it gets off. Very glad the line was in there in my parish, but this blew my mind. How the heck is it acceptable to omit lines from the Bible? Is our faith that weak? I mean, yeah, I have a pretty big problem with it, like the whole line reading in general, like omitting it. Because for one, I live in Kentucky, dude. Like, I would almost understand omitting the line if I lived in like Florida, where there's just like Jews everywhere, right? I would almost get it then. There's no Jews in Kentucky, dude. There's not. They're just like, who are we afraid to offend here? Who are we afraid to cast away from the church? Exactly, you know? I mean, I understand it to the extent of like, if you want to evangelize the Jews, you can't just like go out and preach that they're evil and that they're, you know what I mean? Like, you can't, I don't think it's really going to win any Jews over to Christ if you're like, oh, they're evil, you know? I get that. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a gospel reading or anything like that, so it's not like that big of a deal, but it definitely is like, I don't know. I'm still kind of working out how I feel about my parish omitting that line, you know? Because the other thing is, too, is I looked, it's on the UCCB website, you know, it wasn't like, there wasn't like a national direction from, you know, the bishops. It seems to be, it doesn't even seem to be like diocese to diocese. It just seems to be like a parish to parish sort of decision. And I'm very curious as to like what the reasoning behind it is. And I will be very offended if it's because we don't want to offend Jewish people, you know, because at the end of the day, they don't believe in Christ. I don't really care, you know. This is the word of God. And, of course, they don't like it, you know. But, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm still kind of, like, pretty animated about it. It's been, like, what, 4 days now, and I'm still pretty animated about it, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's weird, right? It's just weird to me. I don't know. But anyways,
it's like what's the goal and purpose of the conversation? Is it here to edify souls and have them come to Christ? Or is it to start drama? Because if it's to start drama, well, I'm not going to cast pearls to a swine. I'm not calling him a swine. I'm just saying as an example. It's like I just don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste his time either. And so the goal, me and Alex don't do this for likes or for followers or attention or even money, especially not money. We do it because we love the truth, and we love God, and we love all you guys. And we all
I don't know anything about this guy, so I don't want to cast any
Everyone
aspersions.
wants to have a talk with us, whether it's in person or private or on a video, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as the goal is to help people come to Christ. That's the whole goal. That's why we do this. So
yeah, tell them to reach out to us.
Yeah, sorry, little bro. You should reach out to him. I don't know. It's, again, like, really weird. And Pine-Sap's got it right, too. These people are so fake, it's unreal. Underneath the facade is just petty anger and bitterness. Yeah, exactly.
First of all, I want to say it's an honor to be here with you two gentlemen.
I'm going to ask my priest about it. Well, I mean, you know, if you ask your priest about it, be sure to be, like, respectful, obviously. I would just, because, like, I've thought about doing the same thing, and it's like, if I do decide to do it, it's going to be, like, definitely very charitable. I'm like, hey, I'm just curious, like, why this line was omitted, you know? I don't really know why this line was omitted. I think it's kind of weird. It's very disheartening to me as a Protestant seriously considering conversion. I mean, I wouldn't. It's still the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is still right. So I wouldn't I wouldn't take it too much to heart, you know. I don't think, here's the thing. I don't think that, like, omitting the line was, like, necessarily malicious move by any means. I feel like the intentions were pure. I just feel like it's a very misguided thing to do. It's not like we're removing that line from the Bible or anything like that. They just chose to leave off, like, the last sentence of a reading or whatever. So it's not like that big of a deal, like, contextually speaking. I don't know him, but he's a fake Catholic. Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. And of course, the way that he phrased it, like, let's listen to it again, because it's like.
You know that he's very polarizing. My instinct tells me yes. My instinct says that I would talk to anybody, but it depends on what the purpose is for. Why would we have the conversation? What would it be about?
And see, the answer should have just stopped right there.
Let me just, be perfectly clear. There are a lot of Catholics out there who call themselves Catholics, who don't follow the teachings of the church. Unfortunately, they don't follow the teachings of the church.
Like, what is that? I mean, like, you see what I mean? Like, what was the purpose necessarily of, like, that's what it's like so funny and so disingenuous about it. It's like, well, I don't want to create scandal, but I will insinuate that Nick's a fake Catholic and he doesn't follow the teachings of the church for no reason at all. You know? It's like, give me a fucking break, dude. Just, like, total bullshit. They always have to do shit like this too, you know? Every single time. It always comes down to some sort of, like, snide remark, some sort of, like, glib little jab for no reason out of nowhere. It's like, okay, yeah. Now tell me how much of a good Catholic you are that you're insinuating that a man you don't know is a fake Catholic. You know what I mean? Then he's just doing it for I don't know, clout or whatever. It's like, give me a fucking break. Hey, yeah, how good of a Catholic does that make you? And the thing is, it's like, I don't like to be in these sort of I don't know, like a piety contest, right? Because like none of us are perfect, right? So I'm not trying to like, I don't know. You start like counting sins, you know? Oh, this person didn't do this. This person does that. Like whatever. You fall down a rabbit hole of just, it's just annoying, really. And it's very like hall monitor behavior, but it's just very rich to me that you would sit there and say like, I don't know this guy. He might be a fake Catholic, but I don't want to create scandal. Okay. What? Catholic Inc.? Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, dude. I'm telling you, dude, it is. It's a gay little cabal of, I mean, you know, and I hate to, I'm gonna be a little harsh here, admittedly, a little harsh, but it is a gay little clique of nerds who would have never gotten any sort of clout or fame if they didn't attach their brand to Catholicism, you know? That's what it is. That's what it is. And they've built up this little clique for themselves, and now they want to gatekeep and make sure that like anybody that's like more famous than them or more successful in different avenues that they're jealous of is not allowed in their little clique. That's what it feels like. Or anybody that sort of threatens their little clique in any way. Anybody that's more radical than them, anybody that's more pious than them, or not saying that we are or anything, but just in their perception, anybody that's more pious than them. Oh, you can't have that. You know, I don't know. He may be a fake Catholic. I don't know. I can't talk to him. It's like, okay, give me a break. They'll talk to anybody. These people will talk to anybody but groypers, you know? Anybody. And I think it's pretty clear why. And I'm not even going to say like, okay, yeah, we're definitely a controversial group of people. Nick's definitely a controversial guy. I don't think anybody would argue that, but that's not why. It isn't. What it is, do I have anything to gain? No, then I'm not going to do it. These people will only talk to somebody who they feel like they can comfortably gain a significant portion of their following from, you know? And the reason why they don't really want to talk to him, or they'll make these sort of like petty excuses as to why they can't talk to him, is because I think Voice of Reason knows that he will not be able to sufficiently pull away enough people from Nick's audience to his audience that it would make it worth his time. That's what it is. And in fact, it would probably be the other way around. Every single time. That's how these people think, man. Trust me. I know. I've been in the game a long time. I've talked to a lot of these people. I haven't talked to these people, clearly, but, you know, you hang around enough of these sort of like influencer type people, and you know how they think, you know? Because I know how I think, too. And honestly, it's like, yeah, that's definitely a case, you know? That's how it works. So, you know, it is what it is. But anyways, I don't know, whatever. What else is, yeah, so that's happening. Literal who's chasing clout. Yeah, real. I mean, it's exactly what it is. Tired talking point, but these people would have no issue talking to the most degenerate atheists, pro-abortion libs, but Nick is a bridge too far. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like they have no problem talking to these other freaks, but Nick Fuentes is just a bridge too far, you know?